Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Straight Chilling. It's Justin, and today is a special episode because I am out here in Busan, South Korea for the BFON Film Festival, and I have a very special opportunity to speak with Lea Myren, the lead actress from the film The Ugly Stepsister, which is already one of my favorite horror films from this year. Now, this interview was a little bit different from the ones I've done here at BFON before. This interview was actually done with two other reporters from Korean media outlets. So because of that, I have re-recorded and edited this interview quite a bit because there was a lot of English to Korean interpretations that took quite a lot of time. So I just ultimately re-recorded everyone's questions and cut out the translation parts for our audience. I will say that questions number 1, 4, 7, and 9 were asked by the representative from Feel the Movie. And questions 2, 5, 8, and 10 were asked by a reporter named Jessica, who is a representative for Watcha, which is a kind of Korean letterbox style app. And then I came up with the rest of the questions. So I just wanted to be transparent about that, that there were some editing and re-recording that needed to be done, but I tried to keep the essence of all the questions intact. So with that, let's go ahead and hop into the interview. So with your film, you've now been to several film festivals so far this year, and you have now arrived here in South Korea at BFON. So welcome to South Korea. I was curious if this was your first time in South Korea, and if so, if you had any expectations coming into Korea about what it would be like, and have any of those expectations changed or been subverted since you got here?
It's my first time here. I expected that I would feel a bit alienated, because it's on the other side of the world, and it's a huge here. I mean, the cities are just very big, and so those expectations were fulfilled. Like, I came here and I was jet lagged, and I was very overwhelmed by noise, light, sound, but then it went like 2 days, and then I started to appreciate it, and I started finding it really interesting, and I brought my camera, and there's a lot to photograph here. There's just so much interesting stuff. I expected the food to be nice, and it is really nice. And other than that, I really wanted to come with just a clean slate in my head, just getting the full experience firsthand, and I'm just trying to enjoy every second. Yeah.
So the film tells the story of Cinderella, which is a very common fairy tale that most people know. However, there is a bit of a twist or a different kind of way of looking at this classic fairy tale. So I was curious about your general thoughts and first reactions to this type of way of interpreting the story and your overall thoughts on the script itself.
I was in complete shock the first time I read the script. I remember just gasping, especially at the end of the script, the puking of the worm and stuff. I was also a bit relieved to read this script, because I really have missed this movie in Norwegian cinema, especially. But also I feel like feministic body horror is on the rise, and I was just so excited to... I didn't even have the role yet, but I was just excited for the movie itself to be made. The minute I finished it, I knew that this would be my dream first feature. It would be my dream first feature because of the body horror, but also because I'm a big feminist, and I want my acting to mean something, and I want to participate in projects that is important and can actually change some minds and can actually speak about topics that I find important. So I was just, I was very overwhelmed with emotions, actually, when I read the script the first time.
As Elvira, you did a really good job navigating both the kind of vulnerability of wanting to be seen as beautiful, but also the horrors of pursuing that beauty. So I was just kind of curious about your approach to portraying both of those kinds of extremes, and what do you think the film is ultimately saying about our obsession with beauty?
Okay. I will try this one. It's a big one.
큰 질문이어서요. 좀 시간이 걸릴 것 같아요.
Preparing for this role was really a two-sided preparation of it. It was the prosthetic makeup part that was also kind of an emotional aspect, like finding Elvira's body, how we want to portray her body, how we want her to look without actually making her ugly or making her the stereotypical makeover princess thing that usually is done when we see a makeup thing being done in movies. And then the other aspect was finding her curve in the movie, emotionally curve. And for me, the emotional curve I made together with Emilia. We talked just a lot. We got to know each other. We talked about Elvira as our child, basically, and we wanted her to be lovable because she is lovable. And I think that's something that I focused a lot on. I wanted to make her quirky and dreamlike and naive in the beginning. I wanted her to just be this innocent girl dreaming about a prince. I mean, we all dreamt about Justin Bieber once, or One Direction, or like, you know. And I think that's something beautiful when you're young. You have these dreams that are just out of the body experience. But then you grow up and then you realize that especially as women, we have a body that has value. And for Elvira's journey, I specifically try to find these moments in the script where slowly she starts to realize how she looks. She isn't really aware of how she looks in the beginning of the movie. She's sort of just, she doesn't care. She's just, oh my God, you know, Cinderella castle. Whoa. And I think finding those moments where her mom calls her fat, or, you know, these small moments where she slowly starts to lose herself and lose her dreams a bit. I mean, not lose her dreams, but lose her childness was important for my mental state during filming. And I think this is also when I started finding this extreme jealousy, extreme she's not really evil, but she's just really hurt, you know, and then she acts in evil. And I think that's what we want to say about the beauty standards, how women become really mean in patriarchy, like in a society where we're told to look like one thing. We become not only mean to ourselves, but to others, especially other women. We tend to go into this cycle of self-hatred that only leads into suffocating, I think. And so with Elvira, I just wanted people to love her, but I also wanted to show her darkness, because no character is perfect, and especially in princess movies, I think female characters are often portrayed as these beautiful, innocent virgins that only sing and look beautiful. And I think in this movie, I really wanted a bit twisted character that has this sort of darkness, because we really do as women. We have range, and we have desire. And
when I was preparing for this interview, it seemed like you have done some modeling in the past and maybe have some ties to the modeling world. So I was curious about the differences between modeling and acting, and if you had more of a preference for one or the other, as well as your general thoughts on this being your debut film in terms of your acting career.
It's a bit weird because I'm not a model. Like Google says that I'm a model. I've done like 2 model jobs in my life for some friends' company, but so I don't view myself as a model. And actually, I've been an actress since I was 8 years old, and so I've played in a lot of shows in Norway. But this is my first feature, so it's my first movie. But I've worked as an actress for 4 years now, so I think Google has a bit. Yeah. Is a bit mistaken, but of course this is something completely else. I always wanted to be an actress. I think this is definitely my path in life. I don't want to be a model, and I feel like this movie it speaks my language. I'm very. I always try to challenge the norms in terms of fashion, in terms of how I approach people, how I'm social, how I interact with people. I always want to, or I crave a bit of imperfectness and things that aren't nice. You know, I think society lacks a bit of silliness and like and yeah, like being a bit weird. I think I find people that are weird more attractive than people that are beautiful, you know. And so this movie for me spoke to me because of this. It's so silly and it's so weird, but also very deep in a way. And it's just been a crazy experience getting to play in this. It's gotten so big and it's gotten really far, and I think it's because it's traveled so far. It also makes me feel like I have a bigger responsibility of speaking up about these issues. And I feel like I have a platform now where I suddenly can have do a little activism. You know, I try to do a little activism through this movie. I think that's why we make movies. I think that's why we should make movies, is to not just to entertain, but to also talk about things that are important and grasp, issues of life, basically. So I'm enjoying this journey.
So in this film, you have to go through some grueling and horrid things, and it seemed like maybe there was a lot of prosthetic work done on you as well. So for this film, I'm sure you prepared a lot both physically and emotionally for this role. So I was just curious if you could talk about your overall experience of preparing for this film, as well as any fun stories you have from on set.
I started working with Thomas Follberg, the prosthetic makeup designer, half a year before shooting. We scanned my whole body and did the mole of my face. So he had hundreds of fake nose in the trailer and hundreds of fake chins, and I had a fake little bump here, and I had fake arm here and fake here. Like, yeah, it was a lot of prosthetic makeup, and so I would spend maybe 4 hours a day in makeup, which was quite heavy when I have already 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours days. But to be honest, the most fun I had was the body horror acting, because I think as a person, I'm not really I mean, nobody screams a lot as a person unless you have anger issues. But I just, you know, I feel like it's a cathartic thing as a person to be able to just scream and just like be so in touch with your body. I studied physical theater actually in Paris, and there I learned really how to control my body and how to use it. And I think I really got the use of that in this movie. And so I did a lot of stunts myself, for example. I learned how to ride a horse. So it was all quite fun, I have to say. And the puking of the worm was maybe the most fun, because it was just the most crazy. They special made a little thing in my mouth with 2 holes that went like this. So they thread a long worm through a hole and then out, so you could do this. And so the worm would come in here, and then it would go out like this. I don't know how you write this, but so it's quite technical to do physical stuff, but it's also just quite amazing as an actress to be able to unleash negative energy and just you know. Yeah.
You touched on this a bit before, but I wanted to dive a little bit deeper, because I think one of the most special things about this movie is the relationship between Elvira and all the different women in the film, and how they each have this kind of different and conflicting kind of effect on her as she goes throughout the movie. But the way the mother, sister, stepsister, and even her 2 different teachers have this different kind of influences on her was very interesting. So I was just curious, how did you navigate Elvira's emotional journey, and what did you think about her relationships with all of these different women?
So as I said, it's complicated between women, especially I think mother-daughter relationship is often something I feel should be expressed more in film also. It's I think also in society I think mothers bear a lot of generational trauma from their upbringing, and how women were portrayed in the 60s, the 70s, and the position they had in society then. I think it's often quite hard to not put that trauma onto your own kids. And I think we see that in my movie with my mom having to sell her body to survive and to make her daughters have a bright future by marrying someone rich. And she's also a victim of the patriarchy. And she's also, even though she's also sort of the evil stepmother, we can also quite clearly see that she also struggles with this. And I think this relationship was quite important to me to find. And because, as a child, and Vera loves her mom, she loves her sister in her own way, but, it's sometimes you have to choose yourself before the people you love, if the people you love hurt you. And this is something that Alma has understood quite, early in the movie. I think she always sort of know that she will leave, And I think, and with Agnes, it's also interesting because Agnes is someone perfect, but it's not about how she looks, actually. I mean, she's stereotypically beautiful, but that is not why Elvira is jealous of Agnes. I think she's really just jealous of her self-assurance and the fact that she carries herself in her life in a way that she has accepted herself as she is, and I think this jealousy is also something I worked with a lot, with always sort of eyeing every woman and like comparing, what is she doing now? How does she carry the wood? How does she walk? How does she sing? This mirror in the window where I take off my nose clamp and I've gotten a smaller nose. This one was particularly interesting to work with because she's not happy. She finally did everything she could, but then she hears Agnes sing and she's beautiful, milking a cow even. And so I think always carrying these relationships in the moments of insecurity was very important to get out the frustration of not ever being good enough. Yeah.
So as we mentioned before, this is another perspective on the Cinderella story, and it's from the perspective of the stepsister. And due to other people's coldness towards her, she kind of begins to lose her self-worth over the course of the film. But based on a lot of your answers here so far today, she seems to be very different from your just general natural demeanor. So how did you ultimately find the similarity between Elvira and yourself in order to portray her in such an authentic way?
I said this earlier also, but I think sometimes, you always have to love your own character in order to hate your own character, or in order to hate yourself playing your character. And I think just for me, it was just very important to tap into my own insecurities when I was younger, and because they were present. Now, of course, I seem very confident, which I am. I've come to a place in my life where I really love myself, and I'm happy about that. And I think that's also maybe why I was able to play this character, is because I entered her with a lot of love. I entered her with a lot of compassion and understanding, and I tried to, and I also know how it is, I just being a woman, I think you understand how Elvira feels, because every day we're met with, advertisement or big, screens of retouched people, or, guys talk about body size or boobs, or, it's just everywhere. It's present. The female body is so present in capitalism and in society, and also in just social media. It's just so present. And so as a woman, I can feel this. I just learned how to tackle it. But in Elvira, I just had to sort of break my own fence that I've built and go back to the feeling of these things actually getting into me, getting to me. And as a teenager, I was very insecure about body hair. I felt that I was too masculine. Like, I had to tap into that and really go back to the moments in my childhood where I actually shaved my arms. I shaved my thighs. I started shaving my vagina at the age of 13, which what most women do, which is actually crazy to do. Like, we're children and we're removing body parts because society tells us to do it. And I think I relate a lot to Elvira. It's just, I have managed to get over it and to find my power in myself. And I really want Elvira to inspire more people to do the same. Yeah.
You mentioned before about your thoughts on film as a way to say something important, to kind of build a platform to explore real issues. So as a fan of film yourself, I was curious about some of your overall influences and favorite directors. What kinds of films do you personally enjoy watching? And also, moving forward in your career, what kinds of roles do you want to do in the future?
As I said, I love body horror. I love Julia Ducournau, Raw, Titan. I love Cronenberg. I love Tetsuo the Iron Man. I love all the crazy shit. But I also love Ingmar Bergman. You know, the slower thing. Ingmar Bergman, the slower stuff. I really enjoy Roy Andersson, which is a Swedish director. I'm really versatile. The only thing I don't like is the commercial stuff. And like, I love a good action movie, but not the Marvel things. I think just the minute it turns into a box office thing, it loses soul. So my dream at the moment is to just find someone that I connect with. I especially want to go to turn out of Norway and find someone international that I want to work with. I would love to do another debut. I think it's really powerful to work with someone because when you do a debut, it's really just the highest ambition it can be, a debut film. And so I don't know, but I'm very open. I'm very just curious. I would love to do more horror, but I would also love to do just a really slow burning drama, a lot of passion. But I would also love to do like a fantasy, like a sci-fi weird shit. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very open to anything at the moment. I just want to tell good stories and also tell important stories. Yes. Can I just also add that I don't really want to do crazy just to do crazy stuff. You know, I think the world needs a bit of crazy because everything that's happening in the world right now is crazy. And I think we need an escapism when we go to the cinema. And I think through body horror, through absurdism, I think we can tap into what's really human and what we lack in society right now and what we miss, which is just love, and basically, and friendship and peace.
After the pandemic, Korea's movie industry has really been struggling in terms of people actually returning to the movie theaters and people not really going to the theaters much anymore in general. So I'm curious what it has been like in Norway, but also as a moviegoer yourself, what do you think is important or special about actually going to the cinema to watch films?
I think the film industry is struggling equally in the whole world. I think I've spoken to many people in the last few months because I've traveled a lot, and everyone are experiencing the same thing of people not going to the cinema. And I think it's really sad, and I think one of the biggest problems we have in society today is that children's expansion, no, what's the English word? Attention span. Yeah, expansion. Is being shortened in such a short time in the evolution. And I think that's why people are not going to the cinema, because we're constantly fed with too much information. And I think this is a huge problem because it makes us dumber, it makes us more ignorant, and it makes us more what is called
Self-centered?
it makes our ego bigger, I think. And in Norway also, I think, I mean, people are still going to the cinema, but I think more people should, because it is important, I think. It's like going to the theater, it's like going to a concert. It's about going somewhere and experiencing something, and really I really believe in the power of the present moment. I really try to practice this. I do think it's something that we lack now in society, and I think movies are such a powerful source of creativity and art, and I think as society we need art to survive, because without it we are just machines that work with machines, and we're just, I think art is what makes us human, and especially with cinema, I think storytelling is also very, very huge platform of a political movement. We can speak up, we can talk to the world's stupid leaders through cinema, through art, and we can, actually make a change. And that's why I think people should go more to the cinema.
You gave some recommendations before, but I was just wondering if you could give us a general top 5 movie list for you, just off the top of your head, just films that you like or would heavily recommend people check out or that are special to you.
Mr. Lonely, Harmony Korine. Possession, Kieslowski? No, what's his name? Okay, Possession is a movie. Werner Herzog with The Fire Within. Maybe Close, Lucas Dant.
Lucas Dunn.
Yeah.
Close, okay.
And I saw this, Love Lies Bleeding.
So this will be our last question, but I was just curious, is there anything you are looking forward to doing while you're here in Korea?
I actually came here with my boyfriend, and the thing we love the most to do is just have no plan. And so we love to explore alleys. We love looking at trash on the street, like just being like, just experiencing the city, the whole city, not just tourism, skyscrapers. We like to go a bit around it and see actual people and actual restaurants. And so we're going to do that. And we love going to galleries. So we're going to go to a lot of cool galleries. And there's a lot of cool shopping here. And today, now, afterwards, I think we're going to go to this little forest around here. I just like to just roam around,
So with that, I'd like to give a special thanks to Lea for sharing her time with me, as well as Bifon for setting up another great festival this year, and to the other reporters who joined me in the interview and offered some really interesting questions. Make sure you check out The Ugly Stepsister. It's going to be a heavy hitter for horror in 2025. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, don't forget to keep chillin'.